I hear the word CEFR quite often when I talk with linguists, but I don't know what it stands for. Can you explain what it serves for? Don't forget to subscribe to Lang Explorer to show your support. CEFR may sound odd to those who live out of Europe, but this is a key concept on understanding how well people speak and understand different languages. You may have heard somebody say, "Yes, I have B2" when you ask them how well they speak Spanish, French, German, or another European language. This common standard, now applied throughout Europe and including some non-EU languages, is very useful to evaluate how good people are at different languages. On this video, we'll focus on it to help you understand what each level stands for and how much effort you have to make to get to the proficiency you want to have. CEFR, which means Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, was elaborated by the European Council between 1989 and 1997, while the EU Parliament recommended its use in 2001. Previously, each language test had its own levels, so it wasn't easy to compare your intermediate level certificate in different languages. But now a number of tests for languages, both those within and out of the EU, adopted this guideline with 6 levels between A1 and C2, enabling to compare the skills much easily. For instance, if somebody says my native language is Dutch, I have C1 in English, B2 in German and B1 in French, this means this person's language skill is, from best to worst, Dutch, English, German and French. You don't even have to know how each test is to understand the level, and only by hearing I have A2 or B1 in Polish you can immediately have an approximate idea of how fluent this person is. Such a standard has been adopted in different exams, such as DELF-DALF in French, the test in German by Goethe Institute, and DELI in Spanish by Instituto Cervantes, among others, and Cambridge English Qualifications adopts this standard for those who want to prove their English proficiency as a non-native. In CEFR, A stands for Basic User, B for Independent User, and C for Proficient User, and each level group has 2 levels, the lower one and the higher 2. In 2018, 5 new levels were added to the conventional 6 ones, pre-A1, A2+, B1+, B2+, and above C2, although the conventional 6 ones are still much more popular in our normal life. The numbers of hours it takes to reach each level, to be presented later on at this video, are based on those indicated by the Swiss Foundation English First, EF, those by Academia Contacto, a Spanish school in Madrid, and those by Interac, a company which sends professional foreign teachers to the Japanese government. The first level group, A, refers to basic user who can say simple expressions. Those with A1, the breakthrough, can understand and use familiar everyday expressions and very basic phrases aimed at the satisfaction of needs of a concrete type, can introduce themselves and others, and can ask and answer questions about personal details such as where they live, people they know and things they have, and can interact in a simple way provided the other person talks slowly and clearly and is prepared to help. We can say that, at this stage, people are able to communicate on limited and simple topics. Those with A1 can tell and understand expressions like I'm thirsty, where is the bathroom, or my name is A and I'm from B, among others, so their language skill is still very basic. When conversing with someone at this level, you need to notice that their skill is still very elementary and limited, so it's necessary to explain in a way that they can understand. Also, it's quite likely that they only know the present tense without knowledge on past or future ones, or imperative, so you see that the variety of what they can tell is quite restricted. According to EF, those who have no knowledge on English need between 70 to 105 hours to get to A1, while native speakers of English will need between 60 to 600 hours to get to A1 in a foreign language, depending on its closeness to English and also on your capability to learn a new language, according to other sources. Then A2, the way stage. This level refers to those who can understand sentences and frequently used expressions related to areas of most immediate relevance, for instance very basic personal and family information, shopping, local geography, employment, can communicate in simple and routine tasks requiring a simple and direct exchange of information on familiar and routine matters, and can describe in simple terms aspects of their background, immediate environment and matters in areas of immediate need. So we can regard A2 as another early stage of language learning, although a bit more advanced than A1, and those in this level are still only able to make simple expressions. For example, yesterday I went to the library, let's go for a walk to the park, put this cardboard box into the car, or this book is yours and that book is mine. Although more efforts are needed to be fluent in conversation, they can already communicate within their ability. If you speak slowly and clearly, they won't have too much difficulty in understanding you if your topic is simple in everyday conversation. According to EF, non-natives need to study for between 150 and 225 hours to brush up their English from A1 to A2, or between 220 and 330 hours from 0 to A2. While native speakers of English will need between 160 and 400 hours from A1 to A2, and between 220 and 1,000 hours from 0 to A2, according to other sources. The next level group B refers to independent user and those with B1, the threshold, can understand the main points of clear standard input on familiar matters regularly encountered in work, school, leisure, etc., can deal with most situations likely to arise while traveling in an area where the language is spoken, can produce simple connected text on topics that are familiar or of personal interest, and can describe experiences and events, dreams, hopes and ambitions, and briefly give reasons and explanations for opinions and plans. While the description on B1 is rather complicated, we can simply say that this is a level where you can have a fluent ordinary conversation with friends and neighbors, and so on. People with B1 can make and understand more complex expressions than A2, such as yesterday we went camping in the mountains, but we had a trouble because it rained so hard, or tomorrow is my daughter's birthday, so I'm sorry, but I can't accept your invitation for dinner. At this level, you'll be able to enjoy conversations with foreigners who aren't good at English, and you won't have much trouble living in a foreign country, although this means that you'll only avoid linguistic troubles living abroad, and you'll anyway need to improve your foreign language skills if you want to look for a job there. Also, sometimes you'll find hard to understand locals if you move to a place with heavy accents or strong dialect, so you'll need to ask them to speak in the standard language. According to EF, non-natives need to study for between 300 and 450 hours to brush up their English from A2 to B1, or between 520 and 780 hours from 0 to B1, while native speakers of English will need between 160 and 700 hours from A2 to B1 and between 380 and 1,700 hours from 0 to B1, according to other sources. While those in level groups A are only capable of speaking something basic, those with B1 can have a smooth communication without too many mistakes, although a lot of training is necessary to get there. Then B2, the Vantage. Those with this level can understand the main ideas of complex text on both concrete and abstract topics, including technical discussions in their field of specialization, can interact with a degree of fluency and spontaneity that makes regular interaction with native speakers quite possible without strain for either party, and can produce clear, detailed text on a wide range of subjects and explain a viewpoint on a topical issue, giving the advantages and disadvantages of various options. When you get to B2, you can not only have daily conversation, but also talk about topics related to your work or to social matters. For example, you can say like, the public health center will be offering flu vaccinations, so go there during this period, or excavation of archaeological sites discovered in Rome has revealed many new facts that are rewriting the history. At this level you'll be able to understand TV and radio news, and those who major in psychology, for instance, can understand fairly enough what is debated at the academic conferences and can make a brief presentation there. According to EF, people need to study for between 200 to 300 hours to brush up their English from B1 to B2, or between 720 and 1080 hours from 0 to B2, while native speakers of English will need between 240 and 1100 hours from B1 to B2 and between 620 and 2800 hours from 0 to B2, according to other sources. At this level and onward, there are very little new grammar, and it's more important to read such texts written for adults to increase your vocabulary, to understand newspaper articles and other writings related to your major. You'll need to build your own vocabulary on your major apart from the general one. For example, if you want to be a physical therapist abroad, you'll need to read literature on your field to increase your vocabulary, but as you're already familiar with the topic, you won't find it too difficult to read such texts in that foreign language, and in fact, it's through this process that your vocabulary will grow. The highest level group, C, stands for proficient user, and those with C1, the advanced, can understand a wide range of demanding, longer clauses and recognize implicit meaning, can express ideas fluently and spontaneously without much obvious searching for expressions, can use language flexibly and effectively for social, academic and professional purposes, and can produce clear, well-structured, detailed text on complex subjects, showing controlled use of organizational patterns, connectors and cohesive devices. At this level, you'll be able to handle almost all aspects of social life. For example, a number of universities ask non-native students to have C1 so they can follow classes at undergraduate and especially postgraduate classes, and actually with this knowledge you'll be able to give smooth presentations at classes and academic conferences. You'll be able to read textbooks in fields out of your field of expertise or attend lectures on such topics and understand them quite well. Of course, there may be some parts of the debates that you don't understand, as it's still in a foreign language, and you may still make some tiny mistakes in your speeches, but even so, you'll already have reached a level where you can manage almost everything in your field of specialization. According to EF, people need to study for between 200 and 300 hours to brush up their English from B2 to C1, or between 920 and 1380 hours from 0 to C1, while native speakers of English will need between 160 and 700 hours from B2 to C1 and between 780 and 4800 hours from 0 to C1, according to other sources. While you can conduct your social and professional life already with B2, C1 is preferable for those intellectual workers, as they're required to manage more vocabulary in their daily work, and at this level you'll have little linguistic difficulty in your professional life. Then, C2, the mastery, the highest level at CEFR. Those who hold this level can understand with ease virtually everything heard or read, can summarize information from different spoken and written sources, reconstructing arguments and accounts in a coherent presentation, and can express themselves spontaneously, very fluently and precisely, differentiating finer shades of meaning even in the most complex situations. C2 is a level at which non-natives have almost no difficulty in conversing with native speakers, if not quite as much as a native speaker. People with C2 have a very huge vocabulary and are able to handle difficult situations such as specialized academic meetings without difficulty. While the above C2 level has recently been created, we can assure that C2 is the ultimate level a non-native can hope to attain. At this level, natives will admire your excellent language skill and sometimes they'll tell you, "How did you learn that expression?" or even I, as a native speaker, didn't know that word. Actually, there aren't many situations where C2 is required, but if you are a physician, lawyer, or you have another profession and daily face with such complex and lofty texts, or very high level of conversational ability, it'll be worth trying to get to this stage. Also, C2 is a good ultimate goal for those who want to really master a foreign language. Even such efforts aren't too practical. According to EF, non-natives need to study for between 200 to 300 hours to brush up their English from C1 to C2, or between 1120 and 1680 hours from 0 to C2, which is a surprisingly small amount of time, while native speakers of English will need between 160 and more than 2,000 hours from C1 to C2 and between 940 and more than 6,800 hours from 0 to C2, according to other sources. So let's summarize what we learned today. 1. CEFR, elaborated by European Council and recommended by EU Parliament, is used for different language tests, with 6 levels from A1 to C2. 2. A1 and A2 are basic users who can have basic conversations. 3. B1 is enough for your ordinary conversation. 4. B2 allows you to have your social life, although C1 is preferable. 5. The highest level C2 is rather for those who really want to master the language than for professional purposes. Thank you for watching this video. We're looking forward to seeing you in the next one.